Hi, Deborah L. Butterfield here, the motivational editor. Today to share with you formatting your manuscript. Lately I've been getting a lot of manuscripts that have been formatted incorrectly, and while for me it hasn't been a huge problem, it is a sign of an amateur when you submit that kind of manuscript to a publisher. So I thought today I would just go through some of the very basics of formatting in Word so that you can see it rather than try to figure it out on your own. Let me share my screen and we'll go to Word and take a look at things. Okay, so I have an article here that isn't submitted or isn't formatted correctly for submitting to a publisher. Let's take a look first at margins. We find our margin settings over here in layout over here under margins. You want a 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 all the way around. You want 1 inch. Selected my text. I want 1 inch margins. Okay, I guess I've got this. Just looks like more than 1 inch to me. Okay, let's go back to the Home tab. Let's take a look at our font. Times New Roman, we've already got that, but the point size that is standard for most manuscripts is 12. We want to set it at 12. Now, the setting that most people really struggle with is that first line indent and paragraph alignment. Let's click on this little down arrow right here. That opens our paragraph dialog box. We want to have the text aligned left. What a lot of authors are doing is selecting justified, which means that the margins are equal on both sides. With justified text, you don't have a jagged left or right edge over here. But that is not what you want for your manuscript. You want left aligned. Text is all aligned over here on the left, and you will have a jagged edge over here. Next, outline level set at body text. Indentation. Indentation relates to this entire line. If we were to set a left indentation of 3, every one of these lines would all be indented by however much we set it. Well, we don't want that. We don't want an indent on the left. We don't want an indent on the right. What we want is a paragraph indentation, that first indent that indicates a new paragraph. That is called a first line indent. The default in Word is 0.5, and that's just fine. I usually set mine at a 0.3. Where you put yours doesn't matter. Don't make it any larger than 0.5. Next, we have spacing. We do not want any spacing before a paragraph or after a paragraph, and that's what these two items does. Now, this default is set at 8 points. I'm going to drop that down to 0 because I don't want any spacing after my paragraphs. Line spacing, we want double. As you can see, you get a little paragraph or a little preview down here. Let's take a look at this preview if we were to give us a left indent and a right indent with what other settings we already have. See how that whole paragraph is indenting to the left. Now let's do the same thing on the right. See what's happening? The whole paragraph is indenting from the right, and you do not want that. So let's set those back to 0, and we're good to go. So let's click on OK. Now, I made the mistake of not highlighting my text before I did that. I'm going to go back and do the same thing all over again. First line indent, I want double spacing. Click OK. Now, you see it did exactly what we needed. Now I have to go through and delete all those extra paragraphs, spacings. Now, if you were just going to set this up as a template, you don't want to have text in here. And you would want to do a save as, and in this place right here, you will want to select Word Template. That will save that as a template. In this case, I'm not going to follow through with that because I already have my templates. But that will, and make sure that you save it in the file folder that you want it saved in. Because as you can see, it will save it. It has a default setting. And so if you want to be sure to find it, you want to save it in a file folder where you know where you can find it. And when you're ready to start a new manuscript, you can open up the template, begin typing, but then be sure to save as and name the document accordingly, and save it then as a Word document. That way you will now have a new document for your novel, and your template will remain the same. So those are the basic settings for setting up your manuscript and having it formatted correctly for submitting it to a publisher. It's really quite simple, not difficult at all. For today, I'm Deborah L. Butterfield. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll join me at my website, deborah.lbutterfield.com. Deborah is spelled D-E-B-R-A. Thanks for joining me.